you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it is a privilege to speak in this debate. For me, this bill is personal. My great-grandfather fought in France during the First World War, and my grandfather served in Burma during the Second World War, both for the British Indian Army, and my uncle served in the Indian Army. Across generations, across continents, the same truth runs through my family history. Service is not abstract. It is sacrifice. It is long absences, lifelong injuries, and families carrying the weight at home. And it reminds us that Britain's story has always been shaped, not just on these islands, but by those from across the Commonwealth who stood up in our darkest hours. And that is why how we treat those who serve and those who have served matters so deeply. Birmingham is home to nearly 18,000 veterans, and my constituency is proud of its connection to the armed forces community. At the Queen Elizabeth Hospital sits the Royal Centre for Defence Medicine, where military and civilian clinicians work side by side, delivering world-class care to those injured in service to this country. And it is a place where duty meets compassion, and where Britain's promise to its armed forces must mean something real. I know my honourable and gallant friend, the Minister for the Armed Forces, and my constituency neighbour, who served this country in uniform, understands that reality, not from briefing notes, but from lived experience. His service, and that of members across this House on all sides who have worn the uniform, deserves our respect. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Armed Forces Covenant is built on a simple principle, that those who serve should face no disadvantage, and that special consideration is owed where sacrifice has been greatest. But for too long, that promise has not been fully kept. And in the spirit of Ernest Bevin, a strong Britain honours its armed forces, not with words, but with lasting responsibility. And this bill matters because it extends the covenant across government, not as a slogan, but as a duty. A duty that recognises the physical and mental toll of service, the instability of constant moves, and the reality that too many veterans still struggle with housing, with healthcare and support long after they leave the forces. And in Birmingham, organisations like the Royal British Legion, Help for Heroes, Fisher House and countless local volunteers already embody that covenant every single day, supporting families at the Royal Centre for Defence Medicine and providing care when the system falls short. And this bill backs them up with action. Housing is where the failure has been clearest. Too many veterans have been left in poor quality accommodation or pushed into homelessness. The Veteran Survey in 2022 found that 1 in 400 veterans reported being homeless or rough sleeping or living in a refuge. That is not just wrong, it is a breach of trust. So I welcome this government's action, investing £9 billion into Forces Home over the next decade, renewing 2,500 existing homes in the West Midlands and building 100,000 homes on surplus defence land with priority for service families and veterans. That is what listening looks like, and that is what governing looks like. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is not just about bricks and mortar. It is about dignity. It is about whether a veteran can get to hospital. It is about whether a family can stay during treatment. And it's whether victims of abuse, rape and violence get support, whether service really ends at the barracks gate or whether the country keeps its word. This bill sends a clear message. Britain will not turn its back on those who stood up for her. It honours the past, it supports the present and it strengthens the future, and I'm proud to support it.